What's going on, guys and girls? How you doing today? It's Anger Roleplayer once again, and today I want to talk a bit about the passive skill tree. Now probably by this time you already got your first level, you level up and you press this little skill over there and you are mesmerized. You're looking at this massive piece of shit called the skill tree and you have absolutely no idea what to do and where to go. I was absolutely in the same situation, guys, as you. And there are a couple of advices that I want to give you towards your progression. First of all, if you are actually following some build, like your existing build already, it should always have some kind of leveling guides, what you should do on the skill tree and where you should go. Like from the first 20 levels, from 20 to 40, to 40 to 60, 60 to the 90 or something like this. So basically you should have like the steps for you how you should move over the skill tree. If it doesn't have this, it's basically not a very good build in my opinion, and I will just show you the basic information you need to know about this skill tree. So first of all, I would decide all kind of a skill tree and to 3 giant areas. Basically we have 3 main sources of main stat in Path of Exile, which has strength, intelligence and dexterity. So the tree is kind of separated in the 3 giant areas, which are basically the dexterity based area, the strength based area and the intelligence based area on top. On top we have here is mostly the spellcasters and intelligence guys. And as far as you can see, this stuff here is basically just the main stat, and this feels like almost all the skill tree, like 50%. I don't know exactly how much of this, but don't be scared. Most of this shit is just main stat, like the intelligence, the dexterity, strength and everything else, so don't be scared of this shit. So on top we mostly have the spellcaster stuff, like the spell damage, cast speed, crit chance for spells, different kind of elemental damage, mana, some life as well as fat energy shield nodes, which are the mitigation sources in Path of Exile. Nothing crazy here. And first thing that I want to tell you guys is what are the different sized kind of balls over there. These minor ones I called the basic passive skills of the minor nodes. The little like big ones, they are called the notable passives, and the absolute giant ones, that are kind of giant ball, are called the keystone passive, which kind of define the build you are working towards. They are very, very important. They are life-changing for the builds. So like I said, notables, minor passives and the keystone passives are the biggest ones. Okay, so on the left side of the tree we mostly have strength, a lot of life regeneration, as well as a lot of crit for melee characters, some life endurance charges, as well as a lot of damage. A lot of damage also on the bottom side of the tree, which is mostly the melee attack damage, as well as life, and a lot of attack speed for the melee characters here. It's mostly concentrated different life for different types of kind of weapons that you use. For example, here we have damage with axes, here we have damage with maces, and here we have damage with swords. And on the bottom it's basically the same as well. So here is a very important thing, which is the fat life wheel. It's called the fat life wheel. I don't know why it's there, mostly because, you know, melee characters are supposed to be the fat giant guys with huge maces and shit and shields. So basically this is the biggest source of life in the whole Path of Exile here. There's also very fat life nodes over here, and it's over here, and it's over here and over here. There's a lot of life on the left side of the tree, and that's basically what's most characters, life-based characters, try to achieve as they move to here. On the bottom is mostly, like I said, life, different types of damage, and basically attacks with two-handed weapons, one-handed weapons, and shields as well. On the right side of the tree, there's mostly dexterity-based characters which use kind of bows, claws, daggers, and mines and traps as well as there's also bows and swords and shield. This is for swords and shield users as well. That's very important. There's also some life over here, which is the fattest is this Revenge of the Hunted. It gives you 8% life, but on the right side of the tree, it's not that much life, to be honest, compared to this. And on the right side of the tree, you will be likely to have like 6,000, while on the left side you can get 8,000 life, not without a big problem at all. Another important thing that I want to tell you guys is eventually you will have to maximize, in order to get to the end game, you have to maximize 3 things. First things, you need to maximize your main sustain pool, which can be life, energy shield, and mana used as energy as a part of damage mitigation source with the use of the Mind of a Meta. The second, you need to align your resistance. In the end game, you will need to have around 100 resistance minimum in order to survive the most elemental attacks. There are all resistance nodes here, which are like this, for example. They are like this, for example, give you like all resistance. There are also nodes which give you different types of resistance, like this, cold, fire, and the lightning resist. There's also quite fat resist nodes over here, which give you 18 resistance, which can be quite useful for some ascendant characters as well. So resistance must be at least 100 in the end game. And the third and the most important thing in order to progress to the end game bosses is damage. And damage usually comes the last, in my opinion, because if you just die too much, you lose experience, you do not progress, you do not gain skill points for the tree, you basically just stay on the same round of firepower. And if you don't have the toughness, you will never have the damage for the end game. So it's kind of like this: first comes toughness, then goes the damage. I also want to talk a bit about some very important keystone passive, these giant things over there, which can be quite useful, and they are one of the most usable important things here on the skill tree. Val Pact was very nerfed in the past, but basically it just doubles the leech rate, and it's one of the most important sources of recovery for all attack based characters over there. On the right side we have the face acrobatics and just acrobatics here. And this allows us to dodge attacks. It reduces our armor, energy shield, less chance to block spells and attacks, but it gives us dodge attacks. And dodge works differently than evasion, armor, nerf, nexus, basically entirely evading attacks. And if you get both of this is very, very strong sources of mitigation on top of everything else. This thing over here is very important for bow and ranged kind of projectile attack characters, which is called the point blank. Projectile attack hits deal up to 50% more damage to targets at the start of the movement, dealing less damage to targets as the projectile travels fast. And if you're really close to the enemies, this is incredible amount of firepower added to your skills. Another important keystone passive is Resolute Techniques. And for most melee characters, melee attack characters that do not spec into crit, this is mandatory, because basically with this passive on, enemies cannot evade your attacks, and you always hit with your attacks, and you always hit them. And their evasion or anything else, it doesn't really work on them, so it's very, very important one. Another cool thing is the Incastable Bond, which just gives one additional totem summon at a time, but at the same time you can deal damage with your skills. You only deal damage with the totems, and for some builds like the Ancestral Watch of Totem, this is incredibly powerful, and for most totem builds this is absolutely mandatory. There's also another cool passive here, which calls the Zealous Earth, which can be got with a flask as well, but this one is very cool. It kind of turns life regeneration into energy shield regeneration, which is very useful for energy shield based characters over there. There are also many other important many other important passives like the Chaos Annihilation was the beast shit in the past and is still used now, but it's just not very powerful just like it was before, because mostly the energy shield is not as huge as it was before. But your maximum life becomes 1, but you're immune to chaos damage, which is a huge deal for the energy shield based characters. There are also many other things like the Ghost River and nothing else, but I will just let you find out these things for yourself, guys. I hope I just gave you the basic idea what you should accomplish with the skill tree and what you should go for. And like I mentioned before, I will say once again, try to get to life or fat energy shield if you are playing energy shield, then start stacking resistant damage. Basically just life, resistance, and then goes the damage, especially the notables, which have kind of a huge deals like this, for example, like this, for example. These are fat nodes, these are very strong nodes over there. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching and see you soon.